Hey team, hope you are all good and well. Big presentation here, all about the foundations to long-term health through nutrition. And this is really working towards helping people move away from that long-term, on-off diets, low restriction of food, seeing foods as good and bad, and really generally having a poor relationship with food. It's really something that I feel passionate about educating people on, to see food as an empowering thing. And that's going to be cropping up throughout this presentation, about how food is there to empower you, to support you to live an active, confident, and energetic lifestyle, and to be ready for anything, and not just in the training and gym and everything, but also in your career, with your family. It's going to have a positive effect on the immediate people around you. And this is something, as I said, is really, really important for us to help you with. And, as I always say, something that is always going to live with you and is always going to be there to support you for the rest of your life. So it's not a quick change. It's not something that's just going to, a quick fix, something you're going to work on, but it's going to live with you forever, and it's going to have a profound effect on your life and how you see food, okay, in a very much more of a supportive and empowering way. So let's look at what is healthy nutrition. Now, ask anyone and you'll get a different reply, whether it is something that is restricted, whether it is no carbs, no fats, whether it is high fiber, low fiber, not eating after 4 p.m., whatever it may be. People have got their different ideas of what is good nutrition and bad nutrition. So this is what I believe. This is how I believe we've survived so many millions of years to be here. And I've seen it for my own eyes. I've worked with the best people in nutrition, and this is what supports people, okay, long term. All right. So, and these are just some of the things that are really going to help you moving forward. So healthy nutrition for me is empowering. It's varied and exciting. It's so important that you enjoy your food and see it as something that you can enjoy and not restrict and feel bad about if you do have something that you don't feel you should be eating. It should be varied as well. There should be a whole host of different kinds of fruit, proteins, carbs, coming in, fats coming in. Okay, it supports your lifestyle. So again, not just training, but supports you in your career, being active with your family. Okay, it's so important. Sustainable. It can't be short-lived. It's something that lives with you forever. Okay, and there'll be times where you can truly commit to something. There'll be times where you need to back off if it's slightly. You might be going on a holiday. You may be having some time off. You may be busy at work, but there are different ways to manipulate it to still work for you. It should be supportive of your training, whether that's in the gym, in a swimming pool, on a bike, going for a run. It should fuel you and allow you to recover from that exercise. It should also improve your sleep, your rest, your recovery. The quality of sleep that you're getting can hugely increase when you start to live a healthier way with the nutrition. Support not only you, but your family. And that is very, very important for me, that yes, you're making significant changes with your health, but also when kids, family members around you start seeing you making these subtle changes and improvements to your nutrition, that will have a profound effect on them. And that is so powerful. Okay, so that's how I see nutrition and what is classed as healthy nutrition. Now let's look at the food groups. Let's look at the variety. All right, there is no good and bad foods. All right, so we have proteins, we have carbs, we have fats, fruit, and veg. None of them are bad. They all have their place. They all have support that are going to give us things that are really going to allow us to move forwards with our health, our well-being, and our goals. So for instance, with your protein, anything from seafood, white fish, red meats. Obviously, if you're vegetarian, your tofus, lean greens, your beans, meat-free substitutes, lean pork, eggs, okay, low-fat cheeses, yogurts, all those kind of things are absolutely fantastic. All right. And then we start looking at your carbohydrates, your potatoes, your natural rolled oats, rice, pastas, bananas, apples, peppers, carrots, and bread. There's obviously a crossover there. You've got, carrots, for instance, that's a vegetable, but obviously it's got natural sugars in, so it can be classed as a carbohydrate as well, such as your apples and your bananas as well. Fats, cooking oils, extra virgin olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocados, milk, eggs, red meats, fish. All right, again, there's some crossover there with your red meats and your fish. Obviously, they're proteins, but they do also have natural fats in as well. So there's nothing wrong with fats. They've got a bad rep in the past, but there's nothing wrong with them. They're just easily overly consumed. Same with carbohydrates. Nothing wrong with them. We just need to get them under a little bit more control and utilize them better, and they will be a hell of a lot more supportive. And then we have fruit and veg, leafy greens, root veg, onions, shallots, peppers, berry-based foods. There's so many more. I could have kept listing them, all right? But I don't want to overwhelm you too much. But really, it's about not having anything that's off limits, but understanding foods as well. Reason why people kind of consume too many carbohydrates and feel that carbohydrates can have a negative effect on them is because they don't understand that, if they're having some fruit and they're having apples and bananas, they are having some extra carbohydrates from that. All right, carbohydrates can be very easily consumed. You see them a lot in people's diets, and that's just why that they can become a little bit of an issue with people with gut issues and whatnot, bloating. It's just they've consumed far too much of it over a period of time. So utilize herbs and spices to bring more flavor and excitement into your meals. There's nothing like, I certainly wouldn't ask anyone just to eat some, rice and chicken. You got to make that exciting. You got to add some vegetables to that. You got to add some taste and flavor to it. So utilize the herbs and spices. It's going to bring more variety into your nutrition as well. Here's a nutritional challenge. The first of a few challenges I'm going to give you, working toward 20 plant-based ingredients per day. Most people around the 10 to 12 mark. Bringing this up will just increase your variation, or should I say variety of foods, but also bring more color in, because they use more plant-based ingredients. Naturally, the more color you bring in. Okay, so working towards 20 plant-based ingredients. The vitamins, minerals are all going to skyrocket because of this, and you're going to feel a hell of a lot better with sleep, energy, concentration, skin quality, hair quality, all sorts of things. So becoming food aware, eliminate any food that you may have poor reaction to. So this is really important. They can call it elimination diet. So anything that you consume, and it's just being more aware of your food. So when you consume something, you may bloat, you may feel uncomfortable, you may feel that you're low on energy post this particular food. And it's just being aware of it. Even your sleep may be poor post a particular food. What I would suggest with this, when you start to understand what food this is, then just removing it for at least 4 weeks. And then we can start to bring it back in gradually. Most of the time, as I've said, a food that starts to irritate you is because it's overly consumed. And that's where I think carbohydrates, again, get a poor rap, because people think they have a reaction and carbs are bad because they make them bloat or they have discomfort. But it's just their body's way of saying, I can't process this thing that you keep feeding me all of the time. And your body's finding it difficult to break it down and process that. So become aware of the food that you are consuming. If anything starts to have a poor reaction, then bring it out of your nutrition for like 4 weeks, and then we can start to gradually bring it back in, but at a more sustainable amount. Create structure for your nutrition. So basically, we want to be able to go into each day having a certain level of structure with our nutrition that we can stick to long term. Okay. And this would obviously change depending on the person, depending on what you're doing from day to day. So, first thing we want to look at doing is bringing in a protein within each meal, whether that's chicken, fish, red meat, tofu, beans, whatever it is, wherever you want to get your protein from, make sure there is a protein source. The amount, I'll go into that in a moment. Then we want to start looking at bringing in those that color, 4 to 5 colors on your plate. So bringing in that veg, that fruit to help with this. Again, you're going to bring in more vitamins and minerals because of that. All right. Then carbohydrates to support training. So one of the big things is wherever you're training, we want some carbohydrates pre. So it might be if you're training in the evening, you may have on lunch, you may have some carbohydrates, you may train, and then post evening meal, you may have some carbohydrates then as well. And this is a general kind of what works for many people who are busy at work, got a lot going on. A breakfast at whatever time that may be, it may not be upon awakening, it might be later on in the day, but a breakfast, a lunch, a snack, and then your evening meal. That works quite nice for most people. And you can move that around. So you can move the snack in between the breakfast and lunch if you're feeling you need that little bit more of a lift earlier on in the day. Daily example of a meal plan. So we could go in breakfast. I do like to keep this a bit more protein and fat based, obviously getting some veg in there. So that may be, if it's a cooked option, maybe some eggs, whether that's scrambled, poached egg, avocados, lean bacon, turkey bacon, something like that. You may also get some spinach in there to get some color on there, some tomatoes. If you want to get a small amount of carbohydrates in, like a bit of toast, that's absolutely fine. But predominantly, you want to keep your breakfast protein and fats, and keeping those carbs for later on in the day. It's going to cold option. You might look at a Greek yogurt with some whey protein in. You may look at getting some berries in there and some peanut butter in there. And that's, again, going to keep it more protein and fat-based. Lunch is going to be protein, carbs, and veg. So now we can start getting some protein, not just protein, but some carbohydrates in there, whether that's rice, potatoes, oats, whatever it may be. And then your snack predominantly is going to be more protein and fat-based. Now, what I would suggest with this, changing poor snacks for a better quality of snack bar or something, or it could be a nutritional protein smoothie. So not just whey protein, but you may get some mixed berries in there. You may get some nut butters in there with some whey protein and make it nutritionally more bang for your buck. And then your evening meal, sitting around with the family, it's really important that we're all eating together the same kind of food. So protein, carbs, and veg. And predominantly that's how we kind of create our evening meals. So that just gives you an idea of like how you would create a daily meal example, like breakfast, lunch, snack, and evening meal. And this is just going to give you Precision Nutrition do some cool stuff in terms of visuals, how to control your portion sizing. So as you can see, guys get double, but protein palm size, carbohydrates is going to be a fist size if you're using rice, a cupped hand, and your fats is going to be a thumb size. So if you're using a lug of oil, half an avocado, or some nuts, as you can see there, and then filling the rest of the plate up with your vegetables. So taking it a step further, let's get some more clarity on what actually these protein, carbs, and fats give us. So if you look at proteins, for every gram of protein, we get 4 calories, okay? Carbohydrates is the same. So every gram of carbohydrate, we get 4 calories, and fats, for every gram, we get 9 calories. And again, that's not just to make fats bad, just being aware that you get more calories for fats. When should you start tracking? Now, this is a big one for me because people have had a poor relationship with tracking, and it's very important that we bring this in at the right time. So if you're not too overly concerned about calories and things, and you haven't been restricted heavily in the past, and you'll quite have a decent relationship with food, then tracking may be the way forward. If not, then just controlling your portion sizes at first and becoming more aware and more in control and happy with your food may be the way forwards initially. So this is how I see tracking. Tracking food should be used as an empowering tool. So when we start to track food, we can actually start to understand what we're getting from those particular food groups and ingredients. All right. And then we can start to manipulate them to work better for us. I think one of the biggest reasons why people don't like tracking is because it's restricted them in the past. Low calories, they may have taken a food group out and they have this poor relationship around tracking. It's educational. So again, we understand how much calories we're getting from certain things and we can get a clearer understanding around food. To be used when emotionally, I should say, emotionally ready. I need to change that. So again, as I said, if you got that poor relationship with food, if you haven't had a good time with tracking before, then it may be a case of not doing tracking at this moment in time and actually just controlling your portion sizes and building up that understanding around food first and foremost, not to be used long term. So I use tracking a lot with my clients, should I say, but I let them know that this isn't something that is going to be done forever. This is, again, an educational tool for us to build understanding and awareness and some sort of structure around food. But eventually, we want to be moving away from the tracking. One easy way to do that, we've got lots and lots of apps now, but MyFitnessPal is one of those. Really simple to use, easy to set up, and really easy to start tracking your food from. So if you wanted to, if that's something we're going to go with, then MyFitnessPal will be really, really helpful. Another nutritional challenge for you. So implement the 80-20 rule. So what does that mean? 80% of your weekly food intake comes from singular ingredient foods, whether it's come out of the ground, off a tree, out the ocean, or it ran across the ground. Those are the kind of foods that we want to be consuming. And then 20% of your weekly intake comes from refined foods. So foods it might be a dessert. You may go be eating out. You may have a glass of wine with your food. Those enjoyable foods, you may have a takeaway or something like that. And I think that's a really nice balance to have. It doesn't feel like we're heavily restricted. And then we can start to build into our week times that we want to go and have that nice meal or have that takeaway, but still understanding that structure of 80% of your week is from single ingredient foods and 20% coming from, as I said, those foods that you really, really enjoy. So final thought, nutrition should empower and fuel you to perform at your best. Once you feel that you've got extra energy, more confidence, you're concentrating better, sleep is better, you've got time and and energy with the kids or with family to do things, you're going to be on the right track to live life with energy, passion, and confidence. And that's how I feel nutrition can impact your life done correctly. So some takeaways for you just to think about as we start on this, foundation to nutrition: 20 plant-based ingredients per day, protein within each meal, carbohydrates to support your training recovery, pre and post, wide variety of protein, carbs, and fats. More variety, the better. That's only going to bring in more color. Portion control. So you got the protein, carbs, and fats. Eliminate any foods that have a negative effect for at least 4 weeks. Become aware of those foods that you're getting poor replies from, and apply this to eating out as well. So if you're going out with friends and family, there's no reason why you can make sure you got a protein source in there. You've got your vegetables on the plate, you've got some carbohydrates, and you're getting as much color on your plate as possible. When going out to eat, sometimes it's just about taking that moment just to make a better decision around what kind of foods are going to work best for you, what meal is going to work better for you, and making that best choice possible. All right, guys, I hope that has been helpful and supportive to get you up and running with your nutrition. Any more questions around this, please reach out and drop me a message.